What's going on, good people? Thank you for tuning in to the Angels Online, voice of the unheard, brought to you by me, Angel. You can check it out each and every Wednesday. Like, subscribe, follow, whatever social media platform you utilize. If you would like to donate, you can go to anchor.fm/slash the Angels Online. If you would like to become a monthly sponsor, you can go to patreon.com/slash the Angels Online and become a monthly sponsor. But remember, whatever you choose to do, understand and know that you are appreciated. Now, let's get it. Good people. You got to get a people what they want. Woo! Good people. You got to get a people what they want. Woo! Good people. Kiana.
Hello.
We got Kiana. She's calling in from Hawaii by any means necessary. Where are you at in Hawaii?
I am on the Big Island in Hawaii, east side.
Oh my God. What's the weather like there? Right now. What is it like?
Perfect.
Oh my
Sunny.
God. Oh my
Beautiful.
goodness.
Just like 3 clouds in the sky. Exactly what you need,
It's like 10 degrees here.
No.
But it is nice looking outside. It's sunny. It's nice outside. You just got to wear a coat.
Just the layering is different. What that's fine. You guys got sun. That's what we need to grow.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Thank you for being here with us. Angels Online to talk to us about you, a little bit your story, your backstory, leading up to how it feels so nice in Hawaii while we're here in 10-degree weather. So, Kiana, what is your name? Is it Kiana? What do you go by?
I go by Kiana. I go by Anna a lot of the time now. That's
Okay.
what I started happening. But yeah, no, Kiana, that's my name for sure.
Awesome. So we'll call you Anna, Kiana. At least they know who you are and what you're doing, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Where are you from, though?
I am from Illinois.
Okay.
Quincy, Illinois, just along the Mississippi. So not Chicago. That's what I call it. Not Chicago, Illinois.
Quincy,
Down.
Illinois.
Yes, down a bit.
Kind of is that small?
That's relative. It's about 40,000 people. It's big for the area, for that area, but it seems small for anybody from like the coast and stuff.
Okay.
It's not million.
Okay. How is Quincy to you? How was it to you? You grew up there. Talk to me.
Ooh, Quincy. It was quiet for me back then. Just very family town. Not super diverse, so just felt like a little bit of a bubble after I got out. But growing up, it just was just a little hometown.
Okay. Speaking of growing up, tell me about your childhood. You were raised by who?
I was raised by my mother.
Okay.
My mother's family, probably.
Mom and mom's family?
Yeah. I think those are my primary influences for sure.
Okay. What about your father?
He wasn't around. I won't even say he wasn't too around. He wasn't around pretty much at all. My father's family from St. Louis, so just over the river from where I'm from. I was around his family, but not my dad. So
Okay.
yeah.
How would you describe your childhood without the presence of a father figure?
Ooh. A bit aloof, I didn't really know what was a father figure. I think I had positive male influence for sure, but my most positive male influence was also not physically present. I had an uncle that was incarcerated while I was growing up. That was we had a correspondence, and that was where a lot of my he's where a lot of my just the ways that I kind of understood adult men in a positive way. That was my positive male influence. But for the interactions, the daily, they were kind of like, it was kind of like, huh, what's a dad for? Like, I just didn't really, I didn't really get the male role in a person's life as being a role. It seemed, yeah,
Okay.
easily expendable. I was happy though with my
Okay.
mama. She did
Awesome.
she did a pretty good job
Awesome.
showing up on both ends of the.
Was it just you?
No, I have two brothers that I grew up with. I have other siblings, but they're scattered a bit. I
Okay.
never was really very close to them, unfortunately.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
But you grew up
two
with two
brothers that I
brothers.
grew up with. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about your childhood, middle school, elementary school.
Ooh. Um, childhood. I was labeled as a talented and gifted child growing up, and so pretty much off the bat, I was put into kind of specialized, segregated classes from the general population, and kind of so a bit sheltered inside of the school system as well. I just kind of had about 30 kids that I grew up with around almost all the way through high school. Um, and just I was very smart, bright child, well, socially awkward, um, but because I had such a small, tight group of people that I was ever really around, I always felt pretty accepted and understood, um, even in my differences, and I just always was a pretty happy kid academically and in school.
Oh,
As I think probably about the same, just kind of looking over the fence sometimes at what other people have going on in their families or in their academics. But yeah,
okay, so school was pretty it. You were smart, huh? You were smart, one of those
yeah.
smart cookies.
That's what the tests say. That's what the test said that.
It's
My
on
teacher said I
paper.
was a different kind of smart mouse too. So was
It's all
but as
right.
long as the paper said I was smart too, then it was fine. A
So
smart mouth when you have a bright mind, I guess.
there it
Hmm.
is. So you said academically in school, it was great. What about at home?
At home. At home. Home was kind of difficult. I struggled at home. I think that school was almost a little bit of a um, sanctuary from home, actually. I had a kind of just a tough time with feeling kind of isolated from my family. And then I did feel I was very bullied by my older brother, unfortunately. And that was difficult. I spent a lot of time just in my room. I spent a lot of time just reading, in my bed with my dog, if I was going to be home. As I got a little bit older, like in high school and stuff, my mom kind of got into this real fitness oriented lifestyle. And so then she started incorporating kind of family things like cooking together and trying to work out together. And that really I think kind of pulled me back into wanting to, being able to spend time with my family. And my older brother had kind of moved out at that point. And so I think probably a little later on, it was more of a sanctuary that, people think of as home. But before then, it was kind of my room was my sanctuary. My bed was my sanctuary at the house.
Did you did you ever did your brother stop? Did your older brother stop bullying you, or did that get better when he got older?
Ah, I think we still have a complex relationship. I definitely don't feel bullied. I think that he's maybe grown up a bit and matured a bit and kind of gotten some time to really self-reflect on this presentation to other people of what's going on inside of him. I'm really proud of him for that. But that definitely we struggled in our relationship and our seeing one another for years, just in the last couple of years has it gotten where there's not that feeling of animosity or tension, between us. So yeah, it got better, but I think that we just kind of aged out of that dynamic, you know.
Yeah. What about your family relationship? Since your mom's side is the one that you grew up around, how were they towards
Yeah.
you?
Oh, at the time, I was going through a lot when I was growing up. And so I think that at the time, from 10 and under, I was maybe just kind of a quiet, kind of weird child, and I think that that was just generally accepted by most people. I think there were some that I felt maybe some animosity from for different reasons, perhaps. Just some adults don't know how to handle maybe a very talkative child, or a very involved, a child that wants to be very involved and has lots of questions and things. And so I could feel that kind of like this, it just felt like people didn't want me around, or certain people didn't want me around. And it just felt kind of, I just felt very on the outside. But looking back, I can see where I think a lot of me feeling on the outside was a little bit of a projection of what other people might be thinking. And so just responding to that versus what they were actually thinking and feeling. Um, so I felt, kind of out like the outcast. I still kind of am working into feeling like as part of the family. Um, just kind of watching. I kind of watched others, and just, I don't know. I also went through a lot with, like I said, I was being, sexually traumatized for the bulk of my childhood. And so when I was about 12, I came out about that, and there were a lot of repercussions within the family, just legal repercussions and all kinds of stuff, and just emotional repercussions. And I think that that really separated me a little bit from other people in my family, kind of not really sure how to integrate what was happening into like their reality. There seems to be like a desire to blame, or to point fingers, or to, ostracize someone, when there's something happening within a family between two different family members or multiple family members. There's this desire to pick sides or something like that. Um, and so there was this, just a disturbance, I think, probably for most of my teen years, kind of trying to just find some balance and equilibrium after, the shakeup of revealing, sexual abuse by a family member. That's something that, that rocks a family, and it can rock everyone involved. So,
How long did that abuse go on?
That, that's a big question. I was sexually, you know, uh, predated. I don't know. There was a lot of sexual predators in my childhood. So it's, maybe not with one perpetrator, perhaps over a series of a couple of years or something, but probably my whole childhood. From the time, and within my living memory, I don't have a memory of a time when I was not,
Mm-hmm.
being in some way molested, right? Throughout, from the time I was, 3, maybe, to, ooh, I mean, at age 12 or 10, maybe it was 11 or 12, when I was like, okay, this is what's going on, right? But
Mm-hmm.
even just beyond that, in my life, I just figured out how to handle, inappropriate advances. I figured that out. And so,
Okay.
from three to 10, 3 to 11, maybe. Um,
Okay.
and then it's kind of,
Do
I
you
just took my
think
mom aside one day, and I was like, look, this is what's going on. Like, I don't
right,
know what we're going to do about it. And she's like, we're going to go to the doctor and to the police. But,
right. Good for her. Good
yeah.
for her.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
did you ever see your father's side of the family, or they
Hmm?
didn't? Your father's side. This was just in your mother's side. Your father's side
Oh,
was back
yeah.
in St. Louis.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've growing up, I got to spend a couple summers or a couple weeks in the summer, with different family members on my dad's side. And my mom, when I was, much younger, she used to take us just even for the day or for the weekend to go visit and spend time.
How was that?
That's only my father's mother is the only grandmother I ever really knew or got to get that kind of energy from. So
Mm-hmm.
it was nice. It was I felt it was different from the reception from my mother's family. I think because we weren't there all of the time. And so it was just like, "Oh, you're here," just
Mm-hmm.
questions and interest and just you know, feeling into a different kind of life. It was very different be going to St. Louis from Quincy. That's really where I learned about, um, I think like just Black American culture and just the ease of things that could be versus sometimes I think in, predominantly white, uh, non-melanated communities, there can be sometimes kind of like a tension and kind of this kind of want to kind of I don't know. There's just a tension and an assimilation, a desire for assimilation a bit that sometimes it's hard to navigate in your day-to-day life. But so that was the first place where it's kind of just really feeling free and like wanted. It was very nice. I enjoyed spending
Good.
time with my father's
Good.
family.
So, do you
Yeah.
think the experience you had with your mom's side, sexual assault, and just growing up in Quincy, did you would you say it had a lot of significant impact on your youthful life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I didn't know how to it adds a layer of awareness. Both things, I think, being part of a great minority. And then, for example, where I grew up is 96% white. So that's not, a lot of demographic percentages for other cultures and other ethnicities, there's not. So there's that layer of awareness that, okay, this is different and then or you're different, and then there's that when you are exposed to sexual or any kind of trauma, I think as a child, that also raises your awareness. You're aware of things that other children aren't aware of. You've experienced things that other children haven't experienced, and you can tell that just in the way that or I could tell in the way that they interacted with one another, and it was this kind of it just added these layers of awareness kind of separate you from being able to be present in the moment with people because you're looking at them, you're observing them, you're watching them, you're wondering about them instead of connecting with them. And so
Right.
I feel like I felt that a lot throughout my childhood. I see that now in my adulthood. I look back and I'm just like, y'all were connecting like that? Y'all really have all these memories together and all these, I had two friends growing up. Um, I picked one in fourth grade. I picked one in seventh grade, and they were my best friends all the way through high school. And they're the only people really that I talk to when I go home now. So it was,
Mm-hmm.
that's not fair. I think in high school, by high school, I think there's a couple others that I could add in there, but I really wasn't very close to them until high school or even after. And they
Yeah.
look back and they're like, "Remember this happened? Remember that happened? I remember this connecting point," and I'm just like, "What? I just was, that's not."
I don't
That is
remember
not
that,
where I
but
was at.
okay.
Yeah, mentally inside this memory, or I don't even know what they're talking about. It was different. And so I definitely think that there was a separation there, just, I mean, or an affect there. It's just a
Yeah.
different layer of observation that I was operating in at that time.
So, how many with all that childhood whatnot, how many life decisions have been influenced by these tough experiences?
Ooh. um, I mean, I think every life decision has in some way been influenced by experiences, especially by traumatic experience, because it sets up our central nervous system in such a way. I spent a lot of my childhood in a fear response without really knowing that that's what was going. So that's where my central nervous system kind of that was the regular was being inside of a fear cycle, being inside of kind of always kind of looking out for my own survival. And so in different ways, my emotional survival, my physical well-being, my, food, even there's just all of these different things that you become concerned with when you don't grow up in a feeling of safety. And so all of the major decisions I've made in my life have been coming from a place of trying to ensure a type of safety that I wasn't feeling when I was growing up. And so I'm making, decisions about getting married very quickly because I just want to make sure that I'm safe and that I have access to it. I have access to these kinds of things that I've seen, but have not really fully, been able to incorporate how other people attain these different things. So I was making these kinds of decisions for going into the military. That was a decision to try and just stabilize life because I had no idea how, and I'd never had experienced this stable inner self. Thinking, oh, okay, this will, so these major and having children, like all of these things that I kind of did very early and quickly were just in this effort to
find some stabilization.
Exactly. A stable shelter, all of the things that we want when we're feeling in a fear zone, somewhere to go, but just a stable base that just inside, because when you have, when you're in the military, they kind of, are like, you don't have to worry about then you don't have to worry about food, you don't have to worry about money, you don't have to worry about shelter, you don't have to worry about your medical. All of these things are purportedly taken care of in a way that it looks very attractive to many people. It's one of the biggest draws for enlistment. It's not because people are feeling, oh, I just want to really serve my country. That comes because with the indoctrination and the programming that they put you through. But the original spur for most people and almost every person of color that I've met in the military, unless they're coming from generational military, is that they wanted to go to school. They wanted to make sure that they had their own apartment because they grew up not really seeing those options as something that were going to organically come to them or naturally come to them. So when they're getting out of high school, it's this need to be like, how am I going to make it? How am I going to survive? And then they choose the military as that choice. Or there's women. For me, when I'm talking about love and stuff, it's like, oh, I can make my own decisions about attaching myself to another person. So now I'm not alone in the world. Now I don't feel so exposed in the world. Now I feel like I have, a safe base in the world. And, sometimes that doesn't even matter if it's actually a safe base. It just matters that it's a base. It's consistent base. And so you attach to that. And yeah, for sure. I went all off there, but yeah, that definitely affected the choices that I was making and the route that I took in life because I was scrambling to try and at a young age, I was married in the military and pregnant by 21. So, it's like just trying to get it done, trying to set myself up so that I don't got to worry about nothing for the rest of my life. And that definitely, yeah. Not exactly it went, but that was the idea.
Tell us, if you don't mind, about your experience being married.
Ooh. Well, that was quite the experience. So I was married. Oh, geez. Got married at 20. By age 25, I was seeking divorce. My ex-husband was just dealing with his own stuff as well. Not that that's an excuse, but it is an understanding now. He was definitely addicted to alcohol and addicted to he was addicted to a lot of different stuff, to stimulation, I think. He had a in that a violent streak. He was physically, probably more emotionally and psychologically abusive. But there's definitely was physical abuse there as well, which just is a good kicking off point for emotional and psychological abuse. So you don't really have to. It's and so yeah, my marriage was tumultuous for sure. It was a dark and stormy marriage, with a lot of highs, but not even really true highs. I think they were just highs for what I had been able to experience at that point. And a lot of hope. There was a lot of hope there too. Had 2 children within that union, and they are the brightest lights and blessings, subjectively of the world, when it comes to me, it's just the brightest stars in the universe. But
good.
For sure, But yeah, it was a definitely a learning experience all around. A lot there to take out of that. Um, but yeah, I can't remember where I was
All
going with
right.
that. But
So you have two loving children. That's good. That's awesome.
yeah,
Girls, girl and boy,
but two boys,
two
two
boys.
boys. Yeah,
Two beautiful boys. Okay,
21
awesome.
months apart.
How much apart?
21 months.
Okay, okay. Um,
They're,
excuse me. That's awesome.
yeah,
Well,
they're just
man,
they're teammates, life mates right now. They're just doing stuff together.
what branch
I
were
think
you
it's
in the
I think it's
military?
great. I was in the Air Force.
You know, I was
I
thinking
was in
about
the
the
Air
Air Force
Force.
back in the day,
Yeah,
but I like to travel
I
and not
could
to
see
do
you
what.
in the Air Force.
Huh?
I thought I could see you in the Air Force. Actually, the Air Force is pretty fun for
Listen,
women.
I,
I love all the black women in the Air Force are probably just the best. In the military, we're just great. It's great. It's a good time.
I was gonna go to the Air Force, but I know I like to move and travel and do what I want to do, so I didn't do that. So I didn't go.
Hmm. It's the do what you want to do part that really gets you. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. They'll
Uh,
have you moving and traveling, but you're
Listen, I gotta make moves and make them count. Okay, I'm coming in. I'm coming in hot. Okay, I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
living the dream. Okay.
Good, good. It's good that you did it because then, and, we don't want to stifle any of that.
How long were you in the military?
4.5 years. I was in the military for 4.5 years.
Is that what got you in Hawaii?
That is what brought me to Hawaii. I was stationed on Oahu for 2 years, the last 2 years. For sure. I started off in California
Okay.
and got to learn a language that was pretty cool. And then yeah, I got sent off to Texas for a little more training, and then yep, Hawaii
Man,
on Oahu. When I
what
got out, I decided to visit the Big Island and decided to stay here.
what other language do you speak?
I speak Mandarin,
Oh,
Chinese.
look at you. I need to learn something, huh? Outside of
Oh
Spanish
my
and
God.
English.
Yeah, well, I would recommend Mandarin for sure. There's so much in their culture that you pick up through learning the language, and they've got a lot of really great ideas of self and society, I think, and just yeah, I would
Good,
encourage that.
good, good. How do you feel about education when you're in the you mentioned education as far as military and why a lot of people want to go. How do you feel about education? Did you extend your education? What's education to you?
You mean like further, like a pursuit of a degree,
Yeah,
or do
yeah,
you
any,
mean
yeah, yeah.
just I feel like that's a noble pursuit. I feel like it's something that people should have a solid idea of self and what it is that you want to do with your education before you pursue an education. I think that sometimes people are quick to have, especially our senior year, like you want to just have an answer when people are like, what are you doing when you graduate? Um, and I think sometimes it's hard to just be like, I'm going to think for a little bit longer about what it is that I want to do with my life, which I think is perfectly reasonable at, 17 or 18. Um, I think that's important. But then once you know what it is, and a lot of people already know what it is at that age, like I think that it's so important to go for it. I think it's important to find mentors that have acquired in whatever knowledge it is that you want or need to pursue your path. I think it's important not to go it alone and find somebody who's farther along on that path to help you understand and compartmentalize all of the different aspects of what it is that you're trying to do. And that's from, if you want to, be a professional in the, as in Western terms, or in the Western ideal system, and own a business, or be a healer, work at a hospital, or become a nurse or a doctor. Find somebody that's farther along in that stream to help kind of help you make out a game plan and a map for what education you really need and what you can do with what it is that you're acquiring. Um, and yeah, find somebody to pay for it. I think that people got to be more careful about just saying, "Oh, I want student loans." Wait till somebody, show who you are and where you're trying to go.
Yes, you said let people see your brain.
Ah, yes, let people see your brains and let people see, your dreams and your personality. Support someone to be able to pursue their dreams and their gifts for this world. And so to be able to do that without, with a clear roadmap and then hopefully, ideally, without debt, um, I think that's the goal. And even, or if, like I said, if you find somebody they can help you find ways to finance your education that might be unconventional, but yeah, that's how you get those sponsors. That's how you get those mentors. Find sponsors for your education, or somebody that's able to help you mitigate what is going to be, ultimately the cost, so that as you launch into the world, you're not having to, deal with the stress that a lot of people are dealing with when it comes to like student loans and things like that.
That is something good for these youth to hear and to know. Good people, good people. Kiana just gave some advice.
Oh yeah. There's people out there willing to invest in other people's dreams. That's what they want to do. You just have to let them see your dreams and speak them out.
Speak them into existence, okay?
As manifestation mindset, for sure.
The Angels Online, voice of the unheard.
You got to use the voice.
Okay.
The unheard voice was sometimes the most, that's what we need in this world.
Awesome. So, your children, I know you speak education to them. It's important to them, or?
Oh, yes.
They're still young.
Oh, but they're definitely just my kiddos for sure. My oldest was on his birthday. I was like, "What'd you do?" And he's like, "Well, I didn't go to school because it was my birthday. I guess that was supposed to be kind of a treat." And I was like, "Oh, that's fun." He's just like, "No, I really wanted to go. There were things to learn." He was worried about what he didn't learn at school that day. So it's just they're just so interested in. They have very specific interests, each of them. And so there's just constant encouragement to develop those interests with a low pressure encouragement, because their interests may change, but ultimately I just try to encourage them, and they have a natural inclination to gather information about and can retain it, what it is that truly interests them. And so at this young age, that's all that you really, I think, is very important, is to just foster a sense of, desiring growth. And then as they're older and as their interests change, they're going to know how to chase those dreams. Even if the dreams change, they have a basic, ability to gather information and to seek out sources to grow their knowledge on things that are important to them, even if it's outside of what is like, your bare bones or rudimentary, elementary education. There's stuff outside of that. So example, like trying to help find tutors for coding, or, learning how to, just coming up with different kinds of science experiments and making sure that you're, just kind of fostering interest, and figuring out how to pursue interests, I think is what is an important skill set. I see that in adults now. They have interests, but they don't even know how to start really incorporating what they're interested in into their life, because they're very worried about, basic things, basic survival things, but you can't get out of that basic survival unless you're passionate, I think, about what it is that you're doing, and are able to develop a base in that. So helping my kids to develop a base for interests that they have is probably what I think is most important in them right now.
Are there any steps
for education, for pursuing education? Yeah.
Are there any steps you're willing to take to ensure that the kids don't have such a difficult, hard time with life experiences or childhood experiences like yours?
My children specifically, or children in general?
No, any steps that you're willing to take to ensure that your kids do not have that difficult childhood experience like yours?
Ooh. Oh. Um, yeah. I keep an open uh, line of communication with my kids. I put a concerted effort in allowing them to self-express, and giving them space to do that, and giving them a safe zone to do that without shame and without blame. Um, Regardless of what comes up or comes out, just helping them to look at things and process. I think that's what's so important. For me, it's not necessarily pumping them full of information or with what it is that, this is what you should do, or this is like, it's not really correcting their path, but giving them the tools and the resources to process and utilize anything that comes up on their path as a learning experience, and as medicine, or as a tool for their toolbox as they move forward in life. I think that, parents are placed in like we are the guides. We are who came before for our children in this world. And so we're figuring things out. And then it's important to kind of give them space to figure out what they've got to figure out, and just help them to do that, and just give them a safe base, from what we've figured out, like, so that they don't have to learn those lessons, they can learn their own lessons, and we just also help them through those. So I'm really trying to not try and tell my kids, like, this is the experience you should have, or this is, because ultimately, I just don't want them to, for me, I grew up kind of always looking at the other side of the fence, and then also just kind of constantly in question about myself in relation to others. And I don't, for me, there just wasn't a lot of development in that area. And so I was concerned with that, and so just helping them to not feel misunderstood or unseen, or that there's not an interest in them, so that they're not having to be preoccupied with survival things, so that they can just grow their own brain, so that when they're out in the world, they have a sense of self, and they're not easily moved or misguided by others, because they have established a sense of self. They know who they are, and they know how to process the things that go on in their life. So they're independent and not, they're self-thinkers versus kind of just going along with what's going on, because they're not really sure how to navigate life as it comes at them. So that's my main.
Goodness.
My
my
main
goodness,
thing,
we got Kiana. Thank you, Anna. Jesus. Come on. You got to love a loving parent. Yes. So,
yeah, my boys.
we got to have fun a little bit on the Angels Online now.
Oh, I love my boys. They're just, they're
okay.
And every child I come across, though, because I was a visitation specialist for a little while, and
Okay.
I've done this independent, just sitting in childcare, and just that's what I try to leave every kid with, is just a sense of self that is strong and in self-accepting, self-awareness, so they feel safe, to be themselves. And I think when people feel safe to be themselves, they feel safe to exist in their environment, then that's where people really blossom into their own individual gift for the world. Every person is a gift. Everybody has something to offer. And I just try to encourage every kid to tune into that and listen to that. And that's what we'll get, as they grow. We'll get their gift, Yeah.
Good. Do you have any regrets about anything you've done in the past?
Ooh. Ultimately, I think all of the things that I don't know if I have regrets, because I feel like everything that's occurred is a lesson, and I can see where things are going, and I can see what the reasoning, what the universal, reasoning behind my different experiences and lessons that I've had are. Things that if I wish that things had happened differently, or lessons I wish I could have learned a little bit differently. A lot of that just centers around making decisions or based on other people, or based on my perception of like social circumstances or relationships. Um, I wish that I had listened to my mom a little bit more on the living for yourself, and not in a selfish way, but living out what feels right to you, because then regardless of what happens, you are feeling good about your decisions, because if you make decisions for other people, or when you're just considering only other people, their influence or their opinions, then if if things don't go right, you're kind of left holding this bag of, I wish I'd done this, or I wish I'd done that. And so for me, ultimately, um, I just there's decisions that I wish I'd relied more on myself and my God for the answer or the next step. Um, and that's in almost every major decision I've made. I don't regret them. I just wish that I had done more listening to myself and my God. I wish I'd been even more in prayer about it, and even more self-reflective about it, versus just listening to what someone else had told me. Done my thorough research, and really sat and settled with myself before making all of these kind of decisions, these sudden decisions in my life. So I regret nothing, but I do wish that there is one thing though. When I was much younger, when I was very young, and when I told my mother what was happening to me as far as the sexual abuse went, or the sexual trauma was going, and she asked if that was the only time that had happened to me, that was the only person. And at that time, I didn't know how to verbalize to her that no, that wasn't the only instance. I think part of me was afraid that then I was going to have to really name these other people, which was very scary because there were so many. And also just this combination feeling of fear of like, what would my mother think? And then also like, if that was going to hurt her and the people that it would hurt, for me to be honest about what was happening to me. And so I really wish.
What kind of dog is that?
What you could probably guess based on the sound. It's a Chihuahua mix, just making noises for no reason. But I regret the times that I didn't use my voice, when even given the opportunity, or outside of the opportunity, ask for the opportunity to use my voice and speak my truth, because I was worried about how it was going to affect others. When if I had done that at the time, there's still one of my abusers is still walking free, still has access to children. And it's been so long, it's like, but if as a child I had been able to name that person without fear, I just, that's one of my big regrets. I feel like there's still someone out there that's like, just, and that
Right.
weighs on me and it kills me. I've gone, I've done things with I've gone to the police and everything kind of after the fact, but it's so far removed. And so that's my own, I don't know if it's a regret, but it's something I think about often, kind of just hoping. And I guess that's kind of your platform too, just giving that confidence of your voice matters now.
Right.
Now is, in your present moment is always when your voice matters. And that really, I don't know if it's a regret, but it was a big lesson for me, and that I still carry with me to this day. Just wishing that I'd taken that opportunity to speak my absolute truth instead of holding back because I wasn't sure what the consequences were going to be.
So that's some advice you would give to the young people out here right now, like,
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh,
use your
yeah.
voice. Don't accept
Consequences
it.
don't have to be something that's scary. They're just the next thing to approach that will happen after you use your voice. There may be or may not be, but they don't have to be, those you can get through too, you know. Always use your voice when given the opportunity. And if there's not the opportunity, seek it. Talk to somebody who feels safe, or ask someone to be safe, if you're not sure, say, hey, can I have something that I need to speak. I need to say out loud, find someone and ask for that space. And, yeah, when you get it, use it, and trusted adults, or even, yeah.
Did you seek, did you go through therapy?
I did. I've been on a lot of therapy.
Awesome.
Do you mean at the time?
No, I mean just, after telling us all these things, that's a question. Did you seek therapy, for yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the first time that I sought therapy for myself was in college. When I went to university, I was there for half a semester. For a semester, half a year, a semester. That ended up not being for me. And I think because of the just different social pressures and things like that, and academic pressures, that's the first time where I was like, maybe there's someone I can talk to. But I've always kind of sought out like divine counsel through others. So like when I was growing up in church, like I would always seek out my youth pastor or finding mentors. I've always been very good at finding mentors or people who've gone before in certain paths to just speak out what's going on in my mind and to work those things out with another person. And I think that's ultimately what therapy really is. Obviously there's people who are more trained to receive what another person has to express or to speak out. Yeah, I've always sought that sounding board or that outlet. I've done it. I did that throughout, when I was in the military, was always that, behavioral health, kind of trying to figure out how to navigate things like, the effects of my marriage, the effects of being in the military. The thing is that you don't always find your perfect person. Nobody's perfect. And so not every therapist is perfect. I think the most important thing is to not give up. If you find somebody that you find yourself trying to share or to express with somebody who doesn't resonate with you or who has a difficult time understanding you, that can be very discouraging sometimes. And then, it feels like steps backwards because you're not feeling that great after what was supposed to perhaps, help you feel more settled in your reality or in your own mind. And that's the military is kind of where that time period is kind of where I realized it's okay to hop a little bit. You want to stabilize with someone consistent to talk to, so you're not having to repeat yourself, a million times. But once you find somebody that can kind of follow along in your life with you, it's such a valuable resource because you're not alone in experiencing all of the things that come up in life, and that could be just day-to-day basic relating, or that could be major trauma that comes up, and everybody processes things differently, and you never really know what's going to affect you or how things could affect you. And so just being upfront about everything that's going on with at least one person in your life, I think is essential. Or is important if you need it,
Mm-hmm.
and if you need it, because if you're just, sitting there in turmoil, you might, you probably need it,
Right. Right.
or if you're not sure about something, that's just so much what therapy is. I also spent after my children were primary custody of my children was awarded to my husband in the divorce. And, that was horrendous. It is horrendous. It's a whole thing. Being a mother and voluntarily separated in that way from her children, especially her very young children. I ended up having kind of a mental breakdown and going to a PTSD center, a women's trauma recovery center. So I spent 2 months in intensive therapy, group therapy and individual therapy, to unpack all of that baggage I was carrying, that load, and then to also kind of set me up with tools for living life post trauma. And that was huge. Unpacking all of the different trauma, and then having clear steps of how to move forward. And that's not like life steps, that's mental processes. That's how you organize your day, how you do these different things, how you move through, routines, how you move through meditation, how you move through social relationships post-trauma. All of those things are affected, and it can become kind of a snowball effect. Mm-hmm. And so I think that therapy, in whatever form it takes, or any kind of body work like yoga or just acro yoga, mindful meditation, these kinds of things, that's everything, I feel like, for recovery and for reintegration to society. And that could be whatever society you choose. Having that, a therapist or a coach or a mentor in any way, I think is essential for people who've become separated because of trauma. It helps you to reintegrate when you have somebody doing it with you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can't speak enough.
Nobody wants to be alone.
Therapy or yeah, yep, yes, exactly. And if everybody needs time to themselves to think their own thoughts and process, but nobody wants to be alone in this world. We are social creatures. Honestly, if all you want to do is be alone, then that in and of itself is something that, it's kind of like, why,
what's wrong?
What's going on, and I'm on the spectrum. I've been diagnosed as autistic. And so I definitely understand wanting time inside your own brain and in time alone. That's so important to me. Just my own space is important to me. So that's not to say there's something wrong with somebody who feels that way or who wants those things. But if you feel incapable of having others or incapable of, speaking or sharing, that's definitely something to practice. And yeah, therapy and those things help you to exist within the world comfortably. And I think that's so hard sometimes when you've been traumatized, especially at a young age. Like I said, you have this awareness of the world as a not safe place. And so there's all these questions and all this fear. And so expressing that to somebody that you trust, it helps you to overcome that and to enter into the world and let people into your world.
Awesome. Come on. I got to give something. Make some noise for you. Wait a minute. God, appreciate you, man. So how are you doing overall? How's Hawaii treating you? How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm outside of feeling it can be a little isolating sometimes out here on this little island, but I do love my community here. There's a lot of really fun characters to engage with. But in life, I feel like I'm doing really well. I have a little pension that is able to keep me, and then I have two businesses that I am in the works of. I have a little craft business that I'm doing with one of my children, or probably both of them eventually, and then I have a coaching business that I'm getting off the ground. I've completed all my training, so just
Great.
I just feel absolutely like I'm living my best life.
Come on,
for
come
sure.
on.
I'm ready to be able to fold my children a little more completely into it. But as far as my base, have my own home. I have on half an acre in the jungle, well, not in the jungle, but just on the edge of the rainforest. Two beautiful pups that I get to just spend all day loving on. I get to go on trips and I've gotten to experience so much of the world. And I just feel so blessed because I know that my experiences when almost every person that I speak to, has a really positive reflection of what it is that I'm the gems I'm able to, I guess, kind of add, or the medicine that I can give when just speaking to them, either in a practice session or practice setting, coaching or giving advice, but also just in my day-to-day life. And that's just so rewarding. It's just so affirming to know that everything that I've kind of been through has been alchemized into a medicine that I can offer to others. And that just, it makes everything I've been through it puts it all into perspective. And it's like somebody had to live this life so that people could experience the things that they experienced through me. Right. And I'm just honored to be at this point and to have been chosen for this path. Man. I think that, nobody can be me as well as I can be me. Facts. And so I have to do the absolute best at it because that was the gift that I've been given. Yes. Is this iteration, this manifestation, this occurrence, this time. And I'm just loving it. I just love it. I love the people. I've been, I just have been reaching back with people that I've not been able, at the time that I was with them, I was just going through so much that I wasn't able to connect with them. I've just been reaching back and just like, hey, who are you? Show me you again. Let me show you me. And it's just like building just relationships and it adds to the richness of my personal history because now it's adding layers to people and to events and to situations that I have in my past that maybe I wasn't as connected with when I was living in my trauma self. And now it's just like all of these treasures. It's like going, backwards on a path and finding all the gems, that you walked past as you were walking the path. Like it's just, it's lovely. Just so very much enjoying life.
Come on. Yeah. I can't really snap real loud, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's how, that's how I feel about it. And, the Angels Online, we focus on, shining light on all stories because we're the Angels Online because you are somebody's angel, Kiana. Somebody's going to listen to you. And somebody's gonna hear this, and it's going to help them. You're gonna save someone. Somebody talking about trauma. Somebody who decided not to go to therapy. They might decide to go to therapy. Someone might decide to open and become a voice because they're being sexually assaulted. You know what I mean? Yeah. Somebody. That's why we are the Angels Online. We are on here. It is up to you to listen. We don't tell you what to do. We just talk to you, real life stuff. You have a story, and it's your story, and you take it now, and you turn it into a positive way, and you're giving people information, and you're coaching, getting certified as a coach. You're doing all that. You got your land. I'm coming to Hawaii, okay?
Oh Angel, my gosh, yes.
Angel
Hawaii
is coming.
For you.
Oh, my goodness. So, Kiana, what is your do you for the people listening to this episode on the podcast? A do you question for the people that will engage them in conversation together. They're going to get up tomorrow and say, did you guys hear the do you with Kiana? What did Kiana ask the people? Any question you can ask.
Do you wake up every morning ready to greet your day and excited for the challenges that are to come? And if not, what is it that you can do each day that you will wake up and look forward to the challenges and the exciting things that are to come?
I love it. I love it. So the people can ask one another, what do you do? Do you wake up ready to take on the day and ready for the challenges and what's going on ahead of you. And if not, what is it that you can do in order to wake up and prepare for the challenges that are ahead of you?
Yeah, I'm just excited to meet them, because they're going to come, they're going to be there, and not even like challenges, just experiences, just excited for life to come at you. And if you're not, when you wake up, if you're not feeling that way, what is it that will get you to that point?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
Kiana,
who can you talk to,
man,
right? To figure that out.
Got to figure it out. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Kiana Anna in Hawaii. What is it? From the Big Island?
Yes.
So she's on the Big Island. She called in to the podcast to speak with us today, which is wonderful. We appreciate it. If you got any questions for Anna, you can contact info@theangelsonline.org. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. This episode is sponsored by mycitymymusic.com. Check them out. Thank you. You all be great. Continue to shine. Hey, Kiana, give me a good people, good people. Go ahead, let me hear you say it.
Good people, good people.
Oh, okay. Good people, good people. Y'all be blessed. Thank you.
Be blessed.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Angels Online, Voice of the Unheard. Please stay tuned for the next episode next Wednesday, each and every Wednesday, and hopefully we motivate, influence, and inspire you. You are someone's angel. Remember, all voices matter. Peace and love from the Angels Online, Voice of the Unheard.